It was a warm June afternoon in Ohio. A father returns home early from work. He gathers his 3 young sons, and he lies down with them to take a nap. It is a picture of absolute, quiet domestic peace. But when that father wakes up, the peace is shattered. He walks to a gun safe. He takes out a rifle. And what happens next over the course of a few terrifying minutes will forever destroy a family and leave a community asking one impossible question: why? This is the story of the Doerman family. On June 15, 2023, the unthinkable happened in Monroe Township, Ohio. This was not a crime committed by a stranger breaking into a home in the dead of night. The monster was already inside the house. The monster was the man tasked with protecting it. When 33-year-old Chad Doerman picked up his rifle, he committed an act of violence so methodical and so brutal that seasoned prosecutors would later describe it simply as an execution. The sheer scale of the betrayal shocked the entire nation. How does a father methodically hunt down his own flesh and blood? This case forces us to look into the darkest corners of the human mind, where unimaginable cruelty hides behind the face of a normal American family. Monroe Township sits about 75 miles west of Columbus and just southeast of Cincinnati, Ohio. It is a quiet place, the kind of community where kids spend their summers running around outside. For Laura Doerman, this was home, and her world revolved entirely around her children. There were 7-year-old Clayton, 4-year-old Hunter, and 3-year-old Chase. They were 3 little boys full of life. They were completely inseparable. If you looked for them, you would find them at the local baseball fields, racing go-karts, or spending the afternoon fishing and swimming. They were just normal, happy kids. They had an older sister, Laura's 14-year-old daughter Dot, to the outside world. Chad Doerman, at 33 years old, was just a father and a husband going to work and raising his family. But beneath the surface, something terrifying was brewing. Something dark had taken hold of his mind. He would later admit to authorities that a sinister thought had been weighing on him for months. A thought so heavy, he claimed, that he hadn't slept in days. The pressure was building in the silence of that home. And on one sunny June afternoon, that pressure finally snapped. June 15th, 2023. Chad Doerman arrives home early from work. He gathers his 3 young sons, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase, and lies down with them to take a nap. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. But when Chad wakes up, the nightmare begins. He gets up, walks over to his gun safe, and removes a rifle. He calmly loads the magazine. 4-year-old Hunter is right there. Without hesitation, Chad aims the rifle and shoots the 4-year-old boy twice. The deafening sound of gunfire rips through the house. Laura Doerman, acting on pure maternal instinct, immediately drops to the floor to render aid to her bleeding 4-year-old Dot. Panic erupts. 7-year-old Clayton realizes what is happening and runs. He bolts through the back door, fleeing out into the open field behind the house. But his father does not stay behind. Chad Doerman follows him. The 14-year-old stepdaughter, who had just witnessed Hunter being shot, runs out of the house behind them. She watches in absolute horror as Chad chases down 7-year-old Clayton in the field. He fires repeatedly. Clayton is struck and falls to the ground. As the injured boy lies helpless, the teenager watches her stepfather walk up to the 7-year-old and fire a final bullet directly into his head. The teenager, realizing the unimaginable danger, turns and runs back toward the house. She grabs the youngest boy, 3-year-old Chase, picking him up in her arms. She tries to run, but Chad turns his sights on her. He points the rifle directly at the 14-year-old's head. He issues a terrifying threat. Drop the boy, or he will shoot her. In tears, terrified for her life, the teenager does as instructed. She drops 3-year-old Chase, but Chad pulls the trigger and nothing happens. He has run out of ammunition. He has to pause to reload. In that brief window of time, little Chase runs toward his mother. Laura desperately grabs the barrel of her husband's rifle. A violent struggle ensues over the weapon. She presses her thumb directly over the barrel of the gun, doing everything humanly possible to shield her youngest son. But Chad pulls the trigger again. The bullet tears through Laura's thumb. The searing pain and the force of the blast cause her to drop the 3-year-old. With Laura incapacitated, Chad points the rifle at Chase. He shoots the 3-year-old once in the head, killing him. When law enforcement officers arrive at the Doerman home, they are bracing themselves for chaos. Instead, they are met with an incredibly chilling sight. There is no standoff. There is no frantic search for a fleeing suspect. Chad Doerman is simply sitting on the stoop of his house, calm, waiting. He is immediately taken into custody without a fight. The investigation does not have to look far for a suspect or a motive. The evidence is scattered across the yard and inside the home. 3 little boys are gone. A mother and a teenage daughter are wounded, both physically and psychologically. During police interviews, Chad Doerman does not deny what he has done. He admits to the killings. He tells detectives the terrifying truth. He had been thinking about murdering his sons for months. The prosecutor's office, led by Claremont County Prosecutor Mark Tekov, begins piecing together the horrific timeline. They pull together the statements from Laura and the 14-year-old stepdaughter. The sequence of events is undeniable. It was not a crime of sudden passion or a tragic accident. The act of chasing down a fleeing child, the act of reloading a weapon, the act of threatening a teenager, these are the methodical steps of a predator. The prosecution officially classifies the murders as executions. The physical evidence perfectly and horrifyingly matches the eyewitness testimonies of the surviving family members. In the wake of such incomprehensible violence, the legal system prepares for a grueling battle. Prosecutor Mark Tekov makes a swift and firm vow. He will seek the death penalty. For a crime this horrific, the state wants the ultimate punishment. But as the case moves toward trial, a development threatens to prolong the family's nightmare. Chad Doerman's defense team introduces a new narrative. They argue that Doerman was struggling with severe mental illness. They claim that at the time he executed his children, he was deeply delusional. Doerman formally pursues a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. This creates agonizing tension for Laura Doerman and the surviving community. An insanity defense means a prolonged, highly publicized trial. It means the 14-year-old stepdaughter might be forced to take the stand and relive the moment a rifle was pointed at her head. It means Laura would have to sit in a courtroom and listen to lawyers debate the state of mind of the man who slaughtered her babies. The prospect of a drawn-out legal battle hangs over the grieving mother like a dark cloud. But then, in August 2024, the legal maneuvering suddenly stops. Just as the community is bracing for a painful trial, a shocking agreement is reached behind closed doors. On August 2nd, Chad Doerman walks into the Claremont County Courthouse in Batavia wearing a pale blue button-down shirt. He stands before Judge Richard Ferenc. The insanity plea is gone. The prosecutor reads the chilling, step-by-step facts of the massacre aloud in the courtroom. When Judge Ferenc asks Doerman if the prosecutor's horrifying statement of facts is accurate, Doerman simply answers, yes. He admits to all of it. The truth is laid bare in the official court record, undeniable and permanent. The resolution of the case comes with a profound sacrifice from the prosecution. To secure the guilty plea and spare the family the trauma of a trial, prosecutor Mark Tekov agrees to drop the aggravating factors that made Doerman eligible for the death penalty. Tekov addresses the media, stating, "My job, as I saw it this week, was to relieve them of that additional agony." Judge Richard Ferencz formally sentences 33-year-old Chad Doerman to 3 consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 16 years for the felonious assaults against his wife and stepdaughter. He will never breathe free air again. For Laura Doerman, the court's command brings legal finality, but no true peace. In court, prosecutor Tekov notes that despite her fighting desperately to save her boys, there was nothing Laura could have done. Laura weeps in the courtroom. A statement is read on her behalf, declaring her life has been ripped away from me and destroyed. Addressing the man who murdered her children, she writes, "I will never in a million years ever forgive you for what you have done, and hope you pay for your actions like you deserve. But I will never hate you." She fully accepts the plea deal, stating, "No punishment will ever bring my boys back." Having a guarantee that he will spend the rest of his life behind bars is what is best for my family. The justice system has closed the file on Chad Doerman. He sits in a concrete cell, locked away for the rest of his natural life. But for the family left behind, the sentence of grief is eternal. Laura Doerman summed up the tragic reality of surviving such a nightmare. She said, "I have anger, frustration, and so much sadness. Grief will never go away because it is all the love that is left with no place to go." She wishes for just one more chance to push them on a swing, to tuck them in at night, to hear their little ways of saying, "I love you." The story of the Doerman family is a terrifying reminder of how quickly the illusion of safety can be shattered by the very people meant to uphold it. But in the midst of that darkness, a grieving mother has asked the world for one final favor. Do not remember Clayton, Hunter, and Chase for the nightmare of their final moments. Remember them as 3 little boys who loved fishing, who loved racing go-karts and playing baseball. Remember them as brothers who were inseparable, running around outside, full of life and love.